Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos we have the privilege of reading Parshas Emor. Parshas Emor begins by telling us laws of the Kohanim. And one of the laws that it mentions about the Kohanim says, Daber el Aaron lemor, speak to Aaron saying, Ish mizarachol lidorosam, anyone of your family, of your children, in all generations, asher yihye bo mum, that will have a blemish, somewhat handicapped, lo yikrav lahakriv lechem elokov, he can't come to do the service in the Beis HaMikdash. A Kohen that has a Baal Mum, a Kohen that has a blemish or is handicapped in some way, is not allowed to do the avoda. This is not the forum to discuss the rights and wrongs of people being born with faults, blemishes, handicapped, somewhat held back by virtue of physical, emotional, or mental distress, or whatever it may be. But the fact is that it's been existing since time immemorial. Hashem himself tells us in the Torah that if there is a Kohen that has a blemish or a fault or is somewhat handicapped, they can't do the avoda. Now, lest you think that this is going to present a societal split between the haves and the have-nots, we learned this week in the Daf Yomi in Masechta Yuma on Daf Tes Zayin in Yuma, in which it says that one of the offices or rooms in the Beis HaMikdash was a special room in which the wood was stored. And that wood needed to be checked and prepared for the use on the Mizbeach. And any wood which would have a blemish in the wood, whether it be a worm or something else, needed to be corrected before it could be used on the Mizbeach. Who did the checking and the work for this? Says the Gemara, the Kohanim Balei Mumin, the Kohanim that had blemishes, so that they would not be left away from the jobs of the Kohanim. Despite their handicap, they would be included in all the work of the Kohanim, so that they should feel as being part of the family of Kohanim that they were born into. And despite the fact that, for whatever reason, Hashem saw fit to have them become handicapped, everything was done to make them included in the process of the korbanos by doing jobs that were not considered avoda in and of themselves, but contributed to the overall purity, spirituality, godliness of the service in the Beis HaMikdash. Now, recently, there's been a video released of how the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, have included a section for children, adults, growing up, who look forward their whole lives to being accepted as part of normal Israeli society, Jewish society, religious, non-religious, to become part of the service culture that exists in Eretz Yisrael. And they formed a unit just for that purpose. And I'm attaching to this video a video which shows exactly that. The main point is, it didn't come in a vacuum. This idea of helping those who are born without what we would say all the gifts, just most of them, and they are born without all the gifts, nevertheless, they are just as included. And it comes from the Torah. It comes from our Torah Shebiksav, and it comes from our Torah Shebal Peh. And Mi Ka'amcha Yisrael, who is like you, the Jewish people, that go to such an extent, and you must see this video, and which shows how inclusive and how the Jewish people are so unique. But it comes from the Torah. Even Hashem himself, that gave these handicaps builds in that they are part of Klal Yisrael, and every single one of us is. And therefore, Parshas Emor is giving us insight into the fact that nothing in this world is perfect. Hashem made it that way. It's always been that way. And we overcome, and we do everything we can to keep things on an even keel, and thank Hashem for the ability to do what we can and include those also in doing what they can, so that we are all part of Am Yisrael. What a beautiful idea, this Parshas Emor. Watch the videos. Have a wonderful Shabbos. And feel good about being part of me, K'amcha Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom Umevarach.